Alrighty, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another live stream. For those of you that watched my live stream yesterday, either you watched it live or you watched after fact, you saw that I went over how the IPF Classic Powerlifting Worlds is currently going on, how day one was yesterday, and how to get to all the information as far as finding the schedule, finding the nominations, finding the actual scoreboard, and the live stream. So I have some of that information down in the description below again. So if you need to go to the IPF website, the Good Lift scoring website, or directly to the IPF YouTube to go watch the past live streams or see the current ones that are coming up, then you have all those links down below. But what I was figuring and or thinking about after I did that, I was like, maybe if I have time, I should try and do a live stream, let's see, every day if possible, and just do a recap of what went on that day at World Championships, anything that kind of stood out, people who won, where we are currently in the schedule, everything like that. So I was like, okay, let me hop on today and see if we can do a recap of day one, which was yesterday, and day two, which was today. And then, like I said, as long as I have time and everything like that, then I'll continue to do that for the upcoming days as each day happens. So we'll go over to my computer and we'll kind of get right into it. Obviously, you want to go to goodlift.info. So again, that's down in the description below, or you can just type in your computer, goodlift.info, and you can go over to live. And if everything was going on, you'd be able to come here and again watch the rooms, but currently nothing is going on. This must be a old room since it's late night. It's a little past 11 p.m. over there, but maybe I can get to show you what it looks like. So if you're actually watching it live, this is what it'll look like, where you have the YouTube video right here and then the scoreboard here, and you can already see the squats and bench are finished, and these are the deadlifts and the totals. And then you can always pop this out if you want to make this full screen. But what we want to do is go over to the results. So here you can see the results for women and men, and they've been updating them each night. So we can kind of go through for both day one and day two and kind of see what went on, anything that stands out. So they always start, as I mentioned in my previous live stream, with Masters 4 and work their way down to Masters 3, 2, 1. So we'll kind of do the same thing here and start off with the Masters 4. And you can see over here that there was only a couple lifters here for Masters 4. It's always difficult finding people in the Masters 4 category that are 7 years old and up that will, be lifting weights, hear about powerlifting, and do the appropriate meets, since you have to kind of do, depending on your country, whatever qualifying meets. You might have to do a local meet, then the nationals, and then be able to qualify for Worlds and be able to have the time, money, and everything like that. It's always difficult to find these Masters 4s and Masters 3s willing to come, but you can see that there was 2 in the 57 kilo class from Sweden and the US Virgin Islands. Nothing really stood out there as far as Masters 4. We go down to the Masters 3. You can see there's a little bit more of them, but there's still some weight classes missing. There's no 47. There's only one person in the 52s. Again, it's difficult to find. Again, nothing really stands out here. I mean, if you look at the 57s, you can see that they both had a 265 total. And for those who may not know the rule, when you both have the same total, then it goes to body weight. So you can see this person weighed in 56.46 and this person weighed in 56.86. So by 0.4 kilograms under 1 pound, this person ended up winning. If there was a situation where they had the same total and the same body weight, which is much more rare when it comes to international competitions where they have the 2 decimal points, then it comes down to who hit that total first. So whoever had produced the 265 kilogram total first would have been the second place person. But in this case, it went to body weight. So there you can see how this person, what they should have done, or maybe they weren't thinking about it, or maybe they weren't looking at it or anything like that, is you can see here that this person deadlifted afterwards. So this person from Norway did 120 and got their 265 total. And then this person went on and did 125 to tie them and lose on body weight for 265 total. So depending on, obviously I didn't watch any of these videos, how this 115 went, they could have tried 127.5 and gone for second place. Or at that point, maybe they figured there was no chance and they just wanted to maybe, put more on their total or something like that. Who knows what was going on at that point, but you kind of look at that and you're like, oh, they deadlifted afterwards. They could have watched exactly what this person did and then put in the change they needed to do to pull for second place. Over here, nothing really else stands out as far as the 63s. This person unfortunately bombed out on squat, it looks like. It looks like maybe they tried to bench press and then they kind of stopped. if you see anything like this, like a C3, the C stands for continental, so it's a continental record, and the 3 just means it's in the Masters 3, so they broke the continental Masters 3 record for Europe since they're from Norway, versus this one where you see the W3, that is means a world record. So this person broke world records for the squat, the deadlift, and the total in the Masters 3. So you can kind of see those. Same thing here for Inger. You can see how she broke them for multiple times from the opening bench press, second and third deadlift as well. And then again, you see another person here. Looks like unfortunately they bombed out on squat. They got one bench in, missed 2 benches, and then made all their deadlifts. So important thing to know what we talk about all the time when it comes to coaching courses, when it comes to King of Lifts, when it comes to my YouTube channel, everything like that, about knowing what you're capable of, and then also factoring in the different variables. Where it's a local meet, you get to sleep at home, drive maybe 30 minutes an hour to a meet and get to compete. Or even in your gym, you're on your time, you can take the rest times that you want, like that, versus traveling to a national championship or traveling to a world championship, having to deal with the quarantine restrictions or COVID restrictions, whatever you have to deal with, having the mask on, going on the time of the session, depending on how many lifters it is. So maybe they could hit 90 kilograms at home, but in the competition, it was a different issue, and they weren't able to do it. Moving on to the Masters 2. Now you can see, obviously, for the Masters 2, we have a lot more lifters competing. You still sometimes have, Masters 247 lifters by themselves. Some countries obviously couldn't come, USAPL suspended, so we missed out on sending a lot of athletes. Iran, I believe they had issues with visa, so they weren't able to go. I think Algeria may have had issues with not having funding from the ministry, so they weren't able to go. There's countries like Australia and New Zealand that didn't send teams at all due to COVID. So you have less lifters, but overall, you can still see Masters 2 compared to 3 and 4. There's a lot more there. You can see some USAPL lifters switch to the US Virgin Islands. So you can see Joe Ada there. She ended up breaking the world record for Masters 2 in the squat, and in the deadlift, and in the total. So she did great. Pretty easy win for her there. She almost totaled more than the weight class above her as well, 373 to 378. As I'm going through this too, if you want to throw any questions in the chat, you can always throw them in the chat. Questions about, weight classes or age divisions or the schedule or anything about what you're seeing here on the screen. Another interesting one was this one right here. It looks like it was a battle to the very end between Heather and Karen here. So you can actually see that Karen broke the Masters 2 world record on the squat. And you can actually see it started off with Heather breaking the continental record, and then Karen breaking the continental record, and then Karen breaking the world record on her second and third. And then coming down here to the end, unfortunately, Karen had a much weaker deadlift than Heather. Heather had an easy, 17.5 kilo opener that was larger, 17.5 kilo larger opener than Karen. So at that point, she can just see, okay, if Karen puts in a 7.5 kilo jump, then that's when Heather put in a 10 kilo jump. So gaining some ground. And then you see, Karen puts in a 5 kilo jump. So Heather just needs to put in the 5 kilo jump to win by 2.5 kilos. Then she weighed in heavier. So that was to the benefit of Heather, where she had such a bigger deadlift. She can just watch what her competitor is doing and put in the appropriate jumps to get ahead on second place, and then stay ahead on the second attempt, and then stay ahead on the third attempt. And it looks like they both broke the continental record in the total. So pretty good day for both of them, breaking all kinds of continental and world records and battling it out to the final deadlift. And then this 84 plus kilogram class was interesting as well, where it came down to the end, where if I calculate correctly on subtotal, Joanne Whiteley was ahead by 5 kilos, but then you can see, so I'm trying to read this again real quick just to make sure my math is correct. Yeah, it looks like it was 282 to 277.5. And then Joanne had to try and gain that ground on deadlift. So you can see here where Barbara goes up 10 kilos, 175 to 185. I can make this a little bigger as well, so we can kind of just look at the deadlifts at this point. So 10 kilo jump there. So Joanne tries to counter it by going up 12 to try and gain some ground from first to second attempt. And she gets that. Then from there, you can see Barbara goes up the 7.5. So now Joanne's trying to go up to 7.5 to bump up her total to 477.5 since she doesn't have the body weight advantage. And unfortunately, she missed the 200. I didn't see what the issue was to see how close it was or not. But again, another game of strategy there, right there, where you're focus on getting your squat and bench press in. You see what your subtotal is, and then you start playing the games on deadlift to try and gain some ground, especially if you have the bigger deadlift. Then you can watch what your competitor is doing, see what kind of jump they make, and say, okay, they jump 10 kilos, we're going to jump 12.5 kilos and try and make up that difference and then try and pull for the win. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for her this time. You can also see the team points here. So if you are interested in the team scoring, you can see the placing right now. If you get first place, you get 12 points for your team. And then if you get second place, you only get 9 points for your team. So much more higher value placed on getting first place with that 12 down to 9. And then from there, it drops by 1 point each time. So third place gets 8, fourth place gets 7, and so on, down to 1 point. And you can kind of see that over here on the right. I don't think I can show because it's cut off on my screen, but over here on the right, they have the scoring as well for each person. So you can see how many points they were assigned. And then over here, you can see the totals. Your top 5 point scorers get added up. So a top score would be 5 lifters getting first place, 5 times 12, 60 points. So Great Britain got 54 out of those 60 points. Then they have the GL points as well, just in case they have a tiebreaker. Like here, you can see, make this big again. You can see all these teams here have 8, or all these teams here have 21. And then they're sorted by the second category, which is the IPF good lift points. And then you have the best lifters down here as well. Joada looks like she won best lifter, which is great for her. We'll move on to the Masters 1, which just started, but it has not finished. So that's why you see the 47, 52s, and 57s. So I don't have the schedule right in front of me, and I don't have it memorized, but most likely the rest of them will be tomorrow. The 63s, 69, 76, 84, 84 plus will probably all go tomorrow in the 3 sessions. But so far, you can see some of them went nothing too special here. I mean, this lifter, Natalie from Sweden, tried to do a 10-kilo jump to try and win on body weight. Didn't work out for them. Not sure how close it was. Over here, Joanna Reber won pretty easily. Tried to go for the world record on bench press, but it wasn't there. And it was a pretty big jump after that as well. So, after Joanna to Adriana was a big jump, and then from Adriana to Catherine was a big jump. So nothing really there. And then for the 57s, this person tried to take a Hail Mary. I don't know how close it was. Again, I don't know how easy the 145 was, but they saw they were 12.5 kilos away. They had a lighter body weight. So once this lifter from Italy, Elisa, was done, and they had the 360 total, and this person then figured, they're not going to get caught from behind, or maybe they assume they're not going to get caught from behind because it does look like it's close. Then they took their shot for first place. They didn't get it. And the reason why I say it looks like it could be close is we don't know why Elise from Belgium missed the 162.5, but they came back and got it, and they only lost by 2.5 kilos. So they could have, if they wanted to, once Helen missed their 157.5 and they have the 347.5 total, is they could have switched and gone to 165 and tried to pull for the silver medal. So we don't know, again, the situation. We'd have to go back and watch the live stream, see what the issue was the second attempt. And obviously we're not there in the back room to know what's going on, but there was potential there for one, if Helen had made the Hail Mary to go in the first, but once she missed, for Elise to then switch and go up 2.5 kilos more to 165 and try and steal the silver medal. But looks like that didn't necessarily play out. So 1, 2, 3 there. So that kind of covers the women's side. Now we can go over to the men's side, see if there's anything interesting there. So if we go down to the bottom, we'll start with the Masters 4 again. Again, you see, obviously not too many Masters 4. So, there was no 59, there was no 120 plus, but, there was a few lifters battling it out for individual medals or for placing. And you have obviously people trying to go for records when there's no one around, like this guy Lars. He got some continental records. He got the world record here and the total. So at least he was able to take a shot at those things. Even though there was no other lifters there. You had this lifter get a world record bench press, win pretty easily. Our very own John LaFlamme from here in Florida switched over from USAPL to USVI so he can get to the World Championship and break some records and win a world title. And that's exactly what he did. He broke the world record squat here with 193, and I believe it was actually more than the weight class above him. So if he ends up doing an international meet in the 93s, he can just weigh in as a light 93 and be able to break that record. And then he was able to win fairly easily here. So good day for him. World title, world record. Not sure what happened on this lifter here from Germany. They missed one squat for some reason, passed on the second and third, and then did one bench and one deadlift. So I don't know if they got injured and the opener was locked in, because you only have, if you're in the first flight, you have up to 3 minutes before the start of the session. So the session starts at 9 a.m. and you have until 3:57 a.m. to change your opener on squat. If you're in the second flight, it's when there's only 3 attempts left in the first flight in order to change it. So it's possible they maybe got injured warming up or on the opener. And so if they got injured during warm-ups and they couldn't change it because there was no more time to change openers, they're stuck with that weight. If they got injured on the opener, you can't go back down and weight. You can only do the same weight or go up. So maybe at that point they figure, okay, there's nothing they can do, pass on the second and third, and then just get one bench and one deadlift in. You can still get individual medals for the IPF World Championships. They give out top 3 medals for the squat, and then for the bench press, and then the deadlift, and then the overall total. So even if you bomb down on a squat like this person did, you can still win individual medals. So they got the gold medal in the bench press, the silver medal in the deadlift. So at least they got 2 medals, even though they weren't able to produce a total for whatever reason, whatever happened there. And other than that, nothing really for the Masters 4 as far as the battles. Again, you can see the team points here, and you can see the best lifter here. John LaFlamme won best lifter, so that's great for him. Best lifter, world record squat, and the world title. Masters 3, not too much there. I mean, this lifter won uncontested. 74s was pretty easy win. Not sure what happened with this Hans Winbo from Sweden, because they did weigh in, and then for whatever reason X'd out all their attempts, and it says DSQ. So if you go down to the bottom here, you can see what the abbreviations mean. So sometimes it gives you some more information. DSQ just means disqualification, versus DR is like a doctor removal, TD is a technical disqualification, and DD is a doping disqualification. So not sure why they got disqualified. Typically when it just says DSQ, that they're disqualified, it just means like, if someone bombs out. So if I kind of go pull up, let me see if I can find another lifter. So like for this lifter, they got 2 squats in and then they missed 2 benches and passed. They bombed out, so they just put a DSQ rather than a 0. So it could be that for this person, Hans, he weighed in and maybe got injured during warm-ups and wasn't able to do any lifts or didn't want to do any lifts. And so they just got disqualified. They just, bombed out basically by not attempting anything. So unless something else happened, that's probably what the issue was there. Not sure where he was nominated, so it sucks if he was going to be nominated fairly high and got injured, something like that. You have this gentleman, Rolf, from Germany. It looks like he did great at opening up with a world record squat and then bumping it up further on the second and third. Got the world record total, won fairly easily. Also another Florida resident switching over from USAPL to USVI, Dave Superman Ricks. He didn't have any kind of like stellar day. He's not going to break his numbers from, 5 years ago or more when he was in his 50s. Now he's in his 60s, 62 years old, but he's still breaking world records. He's still winning world titles. And so even though he went 1 for 3 on the squats, he was able to turn it around on bench press, 3 for 3 with the world record, turn it around on the deadlift, 3 for 3 with the world record on the second and third, and then also the world record total. So not a bad day for him, even though he started off a little bit rough on the squat. And, not his best number, 750.5, nothing too crazy for what he's done before. But again, just the fact that he's in his 60s, he's still putting up these crazy numbers. He's breaking world records. He's winning by, over 200 kilos over here, over the next person. So great job for Dave, and good opportunity that he was able to switch from USAPL over to USVI to still go to the World Championships and be able to compete, break those world records win that world title. And if you come down here, I'll jump ahead. You can see he also won the best lifter. So another award for him there. Nothing in the 105s really. It looks like, Ron Kilpatrick had a good day, made all his lifts, and just pulled what he needed to stay ahead here. You can see 570 to 562.5. And then actually third place got 562.5. So again, you can see another tie in total, and then it goes down to the body weight. So it looks like here, the person who got second actually has the bigger opener. So what they did is, they're opening up 10 kilos more. And all they do is just watch their competitor. Their competitor went up 10 kilos, so they went up 10 kilos. Then their competitor went up another 10 kilos, and then that's where they made their move. They went up 12 and a half kilos to then tie in total and beat on body weight. So with that bigger delf, they just played the game, saw what their lifter was doing, saw how difficult their temp was, saw how much they jumped, and then they just put their numbers in and stayed in pace, made their move, and took the placing. 120s, nothing really there. Bench press world record, continental record, and a total pretty easy win there. And then a big separation for the rest of them. And then the 120 plus, yeah, nothing really there either. So we'll continue on to the Masters 2, which we had a large group for the Masters 2. So for the 59s, you can see lots of continental records broken here by Thomas from Sweden. Got the squat, every single deadlift, and the total. Lewis Knoppers from Canada, pretty easy win for him. World record in the deadlift and the total. The 74s were a little bit interesting because you had, a big group, but also you had a tight pack between 1 and 2, and then a tight pack between 3 and 4. You can see that here with the 552.5 to 545, and then the 515, 515. So again, with the 515s, it came down to body weight for the tiebreaker. And so you can see here that Marek from Poland went 3 for 3 on deadlifts. They finished off with a 210. And so then Joe McCulloch from Canada need to do 2.5 kilos more since they weighed more. So you can see they jumped from 217.5 to 220. Unfortunately, they didn't get the 220, so they are the odd man out, getting 4th place there. And then for the battle for first and second, you can see Jacob Carrasco from Peru was ahead on squats. And then Manolo from Italy gained some ground here on bench press, getting the gold on bench press. And then it came down to deadlifts. Again, Jacob Carrasco had the bigger deadlift, so he can just watch what his competitor is doing, adjust accordingly. So his competitor went up 10 kilos, he went up 10 kilos. Then his competitor tried to go up another 10 kilos to pull back in the lead because, again, they didn't have the body weight, so they would have to get 555. And they missed. So at that point, Jacob Carrasco had won before he even pulled his third deadlift. I don't even know if he tried his deadlift, if he picked a number they wanted to go for a PR, world record. I don't know what it was. But at that point, he already had the win sealed as soon as his competitor missed. But good battle there to the final deadlift again. Nothing too much here in the 83, Sweden versus Sweden. It came down, to deadlifts, but for whatever reason, Eric Vic John missed his second and third, which would have been what he needed to keep up with Thomas Gustafsson. And unfortunately, he just couldn't get that 10 kilos to, even if he did the 10 kilos, he didn't have body weight. So that's why he went up to another 2.5 because he needed 12.5 kilos. So he needed that 227.5, but he couldn't even get the 225 if he did attempt that. Moving on to the 93s, we had Jeff Butt, the head coach for Team Canada, competing there in a battle there with Alejandro from Spain. It looks like, Jeff was behind on squat and on bench press, and then he had to try and make up some ground here on deadlift, but he was just too far behind. So probably after this second deadlift, as soon as Alejandro got this second deadlift, he probably knew it was way out of there. He would have needed that miss because that was a 10 kilo jump, which would have put him at 682.5 for Alejandro. And then Jeff Butt actually had the body weight by 0.02. So at that point, Jeff could have done 2.5 kilos more, 282. So they really needed Alejandro to miss the second and third, but he made a second, which basically sealed his victory. And then Jeff just did whatever third attempt that he wanted, just to put up the total he wanted, since no one was really catching him from behind. Moving on. Nothing really going down in the 105s. This person, Anders from Sweden, did 250 opener. He tried to keep up with Domenico from Italy on deadlifts, but missed the second, missed the third. And they didn't even, I mean, they possibly needed that 270. Depends on what Domenico would have done if he had to pull for the placing, but he could have, could have done 262.5 to get into second and made Domenico make an attempt, but he missed the 260. Who knows if he would have even gotten a 262.5. So he ended up in third. Moving on to the 120s, nothing really there. Scott Robertson from Canada kind of cruised to victory. He tried a world record on the bench press, just couldn't get it. And then the 120 plus, nothing really there either. Nice separation by everyone. And then you have your team points. Looks like Sweden is in the lead right now. I'm guessing all the M2s went, at the 120 plus. So Sweden wins that one. And then the best lifters, Scott Robertson from Canada, wins that one. And here's an interesting thing too. Sometimes it happens with best lifter awards because they don't only look at who won the weight class, they look at everyone. And depending on what you weighed in or how difficult a weight class you're in, you could possibly lose your weight class and then be one of the best lifters. So in this case, the two lifters from 93, first and second place, Alejandro and Jeff Butt, got second and third best lifter. So Jeff Butt was the third best lifter for the Masters too, but only second best in his weight class because there just happened to be someone in his weight class that was even better than him. So sometimes that happens where you have a really stacked class. And then similar to the women, you had the Masters men, the lightweights go. So it looks like there was no 59s, and then you had the 66, 74, and 83s. And then most likely tomorrow will be the 93s, 105s, 120s, and 120 pluses in the various 3 sessions. I don't know off the top of my head the schedule. But looking at the 66s, there's a little bit of a battle here. Chris Aviato got the world record bench press, which obviously that chip can help because he weighed in heavier. So that chip would help then. He doesn't have to go 2.5 kilos more because he would already be half a kilo above with the 158 versus the 157.5. So smart strategy there going into deadlifts. They did open up lower on deadlifts. So Chris opened up at 202 and Slawomir opened up to 205. So as soon as Chris Aviato goes up 10 kilos, Slawomir also goes up 10 kilos. And then Chris tries to go up, 2.5 to, get back ahead. And unfortunately, he missed. Not sure how difficult the 212 was or the 215. So at that point, Slawomir had already won because he was at 557.5 and Chris was at 555.5. So Chris was 2 kilos behind, which is why he needed that 2.5. And so then he just kind of went another 5 kilos and bumped up his total a little bit further. So another good battle with the world record bench press and coming down to Chris's final deadlift. Just didn't have the firepower. And if he had gotten it, he would have been at 558. And then Slawomir would have just gotten this, 217 or 220, and he would have gotten the win. Anyways, we don't know for sure with the, pressure of pulling for the win versus already having the win, but most likely. In the 74s, nothing really going on there. Looks like Yanni from Finland won pretty easily with 665 and actually told more than the 83s, and then a big drop. So nothing really going on there. The 83s is interesting, so I'll give it a quick little breakdown. The first nominated person got a technical disqualification. The second nominated person bombed out on bench press, and the third nominated person did not compete due to injury. So actually the fourth nominated person became your world champion. So interesting thing where some people will think just because they're nominated second, third, fourth, fifth, even seventh or eighth, they think they have no shot of winning. But you never know how old someone's total is, whether your nominated total is real or fake. They don't know how much you've progressed. And then you have all those other variables going on where, someone can get injured in their last session and pull out. Someone can get injured possibly in the warm-up room and not be able to come out like we possibly saw with some of those people where all 9 attempts were X'd out. And then you have people who bomb out or people who cheat or stuff like that. So you never know. That's why you have to, get nominated, come show up, do your thing, focus on yourself, make your attempts. Don't worry about other people doing since you can't control other people. And then once it comes down to the end, comes down to those deadlifts, make those attempt selection strategies that you need to make in order to put yourself in the best position to place as high as possible. So the first nominated person was this guy, Maël Lee Pavin from France. I don't know what exactly happened, but if you go to the live stream, you can see they did three squats that look fine. I believe they got 3 for 3. Then they did three benches. Again, everything looked fine. I think they got 2 for 3. And then you don't see them come out for deadlifts. And sometimes when the jury goes and does something and make a decision, may pull someone out, they may not always tell the person announcing in the venue, and they may not always tell the live stream commentator what's going on. So I don't know if they mentioned it, but from what I was watching, they didn't really say anything about, oh, this person's not competing or why this person's not competing anymore. They just kind of continue it. Okay, these are the people now fighting for the podium. So I'm not sure what happened, but this TD means technical disqualification. So maybe they were using something to cheat, and someone did put in the YouTube comments, and you can go look at it, probably it's still there, that they had heard from someone that they were using illegal equipment. So I'm not sure if maybe they were hiding something under their singlet for squat. Maybe they had some kind of briefs on or something like that. Or maybe they were hiding something under their t-shirt for bench press. Maybe they had some kind of loose shirt on or something to give them support and help them out, that the jury was able to catch, or the referees on the platform were able to catch and tell the jury goes and inspects it. Maybe it could have been bench press because he did get all the squats in, he got all the benches. And so maybe during that break between bench and deadlift, something happened. They went back in there and they checked, and they made a decision to remove the lifter from the competition, maybe due to cheating or something like that. So not sure what exactly happened, but you get that sometimes too, technical disqualification. The second nominated person was this guy, Adem from Turkey, and he was doing fine on squats, 3 for 3 on squats. And then for whatever reason, I haven't got a chance to go look at his bench presses, just bombed down on bench press for 160, missed it 3 times. And again, his deadlift looked great, 3 for 3 on deadlifts. He got the silver medal on squat and the gold medal on deadlift. So he was doing very well. For whatever reason, something happened on bench press. I don't know if maybe they weren't ready for the pause or something like that, or if it's something smaller, technically wise, like a heel or a head being up. But unfortunately, number 2 nominated person was out. The number 3 nominated person was our very own Ryan Sixpack Lapidat from Canada and Canada Lifts. I don't know all the details of what his training session was supposed to be, how he hurt himself, how bad he is, but he said he injured himself in one of the final sessions in training, so he couldn't compete. So that was the number 3 nominated person. So Alessandro from Italy was the number 4th nominated person. I think ML was from Sweden was the 5th nominated person. So they end up getting a nice boost up to the top. And at that point, Alessandro basically just had, because it happened between bench and deadlift, where obviously the number 1 person gets disqualified, number 2 person bombs out. So going into deadlifts, all I had to do was kind of cruise to victory. So, he just stayed enough ahead where he won by 12.5 kilos, so pretty comfortably. And then Emil stayed ahead of Kent from Denmark by 32.5 kilos. So he kind of just cruised as well. So all of a sudden there was this change, which is like interesting. And all of a sudden, someone who thought maybe they were going to get 3rd place, I would have to go and see if Adem had gone let's say 145 or 150, what he would have placed. And I don't remember what this guy's Dallas were to see what he would have placed, but he was projected first when they first put up all the openers. So maybe Alessandro thought he was going to get 3rd or 4th, and next thing you know, you are the world champion. So all kinds of crazy stuff like that can happen at meets. And for now, this is the team points and the best lifters. But again, this is going to change possibly with the rest of the lifters that are going to still be competing. But for now, you got Yanni from Finland and first with his 97.888 IPF points. So that covers everything as far as the current score sheet. So again, if you want to go and see anything, you can go to goodlift.info. Link is down in the description below. You come over here to live, and then you'll see the current championship up. You'll see the timetable. You'll see the nominations. You'll see the live stream link right here. You see the score sheets at the end of each night. They're updating it. It's easy now because they're 6 hours ahead. That 3rd night for us is midday or later in the afternoon. So they kind of update it, and then you can go on anytime in the afternoon, like right now at 6 o'clock for me Eastern, and be able to go pull up all the results. And then when there is an actual room live, you have platform 1 and platform 2 right here. So hopefully you all enjoyed that, whether you're watching it live or you're going to watch it later. And like I said, as long as I have time to do it, I'll hop on my computer and do a breakdown. It'll be a little bit quicker, most likely, for these later days because I have to combine 2 days to do the recap today. But if it's going to be one day going forward, and also once we get into the open, it'll only be one platform rather than two platforms. So it'll be less lifters going on throughout one day. Should be a little bit quicker to go through these breakdowns and kind of give you guys some information about who's competed, what the results were, any little things that stood out as far as someone getting disqualified, someone bombing out, someone not coming due to injury, anything as far as like attempt selection that I see that was interesting scenario that you can go look at afterwards and see what actually happened. I'll break that all down for you all. So hopefully you're all having a good day, and hopefully I'll catch you tomorrow.